And now, aviation weather around Alaska.
Friday morning's flying weather graphic showing IFR here, north slope to the eastern Arctic coast, and some marginal VFR all the way out to the northwest coast there and into the northern Koyukuk Valley areas, but to the south here, good VFR. Bering Sea, nothing but VFR out there, including the Aleutians, right across Kodiak Island here, the Gulf of Alaska, into the northern panhandle. Some marginal VFR, though, spreading up to Prince of Wales Island from Dixon Entrance there. And for the afternoon, this area edges a little farther to the north, but doesn't make much more headway across the panhandle. Good VFR across that area. And North Gulf Coast, Kodiak Island, Bristol Bay, northward to the Brooks Range, all VFR. And some IFR still here over the eastern North Slope, over toward the eastern Arctic coast there, especially Barter Island. And VFR, central western Arctic coast. And some marginal VFR here slipping into the St. Lawrence Island area and maybe the Bering Strait. Aleutians VFR. And for Saturday morning, Aleutians stay VFR as well as the Alaska Peninsula, southern Bering Sea, eastern Bering Sea, all VFR. Marginal VFR here over the northwest Bering there, maybe creeping into St. Matthew Island, and that's about it. Marginal VFR here, upper Tanana Valley, 40-mile country, Nabesna northward to just south of Arctic Village or southeast of Arctic Village. And for the eastern Arctic coast, North Slope, possible marginal VFR there. Marginal VFR finding its way to the east side of Kodiak Island, just barely there, Fognak Island as well. And IFR on the increase here over the southern southeast coast. And then for Saturday afternoon, marginal VFR probably over the northern, at least 2/3 of the panhandle, or the southern 2/3 of the panhandle here, VFR to the north, maybe some IFR over toward Misty Fjords. Otherwise, interior Alaska, VFR from Arctic coast to the North Gulf Coast, all of the Bering Sea here. Maybe a little bit of marginal VFR possible there over the eastern Arctic coast. And the Aleutians looking a little more marginal now for Saturday afternoon than they were Saturday morning. See this area slipping up to the north there, but the Bering Sea staying pretty good. And for passes, Anatuvik, IFR becoming marginal VFR. And for Adigan, IFR the entire day. And for Lake Clark and Merrill, VFR, the entire Alaska range will be VFR. Windy and Isabel, Mentasta as well, VFR. Tanita, good VFR. Another VFR day for Portage, as well as Chilkoot and White. Freezing levels, 2,000 feet just across southern Prince of Wales Island area, otherwise at the surface, hugging the North Gulf Coast here through Shelikof Strait. Then back to the north with that upper level high pressure area, you've got a lot of warm air aloft out over the Bering Sea, 8,000 feet over the west central Bering Sea, 2,000 feet all the way up to Shishmaref and eastward here into western Cook Inlet. Icing free, or at least no icing of any significance expected over mainland Alaska, the Gulf, the Bering Sea, the Aleutians. Could see increasing icing possibilities, icing chances coming into the southern southeast coast above about 6,000 feet of the isolated, more likely light variety. And for the jet stream here, westerly flow across the northern part of the state in the Brooks Range, with the strongest flow here, western Arctic coast into the central North Slope at about 90 knots. Otherwise, big high pressure out here over the Bering Sea. Another one there in the Gulf of Alaska. Northeast winds giving kind of an inverted flow here. Northeasterlies, 80 to 85 knots across southern Bering Sea and the Aleutians. And pretty light for the southeast coast, as well as the North Gulf Coast here into the Copper River Basin. And at 9,000 feet, west-northwest winds 45 to 50 knots there, especially along the Arctic coast. And then that turns northerly here as it comes over the top of this ridge of high pressure coming around to the north and then eventually northeast, 40 to 55 knots there just south of the Pribilof Islands. Northeast 60 knots right across the central Aleutian areas there. And light and variable over the panhandle under high pressure that actually extends all the way up into the southeast interior. 3,000 feet, eastern part of the state, south of the Brooks Range, or from the Brooks Range southward here eastward across the Panhandle. Pretty light wind conditions, but northeasterlies 45 to 50 knots coming out of the southwest interior, and getting a little brisk here just north of the Aleutians there, up to 50 to 55 knots from the northeast. And for turbulence, Kodiak Island, Alaska Peninsula, and the Alaska Peninsula and the Aleutians, occasional moderate turbulence there below 4,000 to 6,000 feet, and below about 6,000 feet here over the southwest interior. Otherwise light to isolated moderate turbulence for much of the inland areas here, all the way to the Arctic coast, St. Lawrence Island included. Southeast interior, Prince William Sound, down across the Panhandle, pretty smooth flying conditions for the day on Friday.